Hello everybody, it's George from LGW3 Orchids and Exotics. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I know it's been a little bit since I did a video. It's probably been a little over a month now. Very busy with stuff around the house and you know, springtime, getting ready for all the plants outside and things like that. Any case, I decided to embark on a new project and I decided to give it a try and flask orchids. Now, typically, this is not how it would be done. However, due to budget restraints, only so much money that I can spend to buy on equipment. Kind of took the DIY track over here, made my own little glove box. Just a simple setup with some of the distilled water that I need, some other supplies down there. Basic grow light here. I actually have a UV sterilizer light over here. It's UVC. And again, some of my other equipment here will be using these flasking jars. So what spawned the interest for me to try to get into doing this? Well, I enjoy creating things. Same reason I enjoy, you know, growing orchids and seeing how things flourish, seeing all the different crosses out there that are possibly able to be remade or better made, new crosses. So it really got me thinking, like, hey, is it really that hard? Is it possible to do it at home? A lot of people would say, you know, you need a high-tech lab, everything has to be super sterile. And while I do agree that conditions do need to be very sterile, I think it is also possible that you could have success doing it like me in your basement. So in any case, we're gonna give it a shot. And this is my first attempt. So we're looking at beginning of April 2023 right now. So this is gonna be a step process. We're gonna start today with creating the Mother Flasking Media. We'll go ahead and create this process. I'll show you up in my kitchen after I put things together down here. We'll go through that process and then I'm going to let it sit overnight. And then tomorrow I will actually be flasking up some seeds I have here. I have a Ascocentrum miniatum times self. Just a simple Bandaceous type, I believe, orchid. Small little seed pod. Not sure if you'll be able to see it here. Very, very small on camera. Just that little thing there. So we'll give it a shot. Hopefully the seed is still fertile and will work well at producing something. Hopefully my process will stay clean. We won't have contamination. But in any case, we're going to give it a shot. So I want to give some credit to another YouTube channel, Here But Not. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to check him out on his channel. I believe he's out of Canada. Forgive me, I forgot his name, but I'll be sure to post the link here. It was inspirational to see his process, how he did it at home, and he's had success with some Phalaenopsis and some other different types of orchids. So most of what I've created here was basically taking a lot of information from him, also doing some other research on my own, different techniques. I'm actually going to be using a more updated agar media as well, P723, which is a it's a newer, updated version of the media, and essentially, I believe it has less sugars in there, and it's supposed to be better for propagating most epiphytic orchids. So in any case, we're going to give it a shot. So first thing, what we're going to do is I have the pressure cooker and everything upstairs. Down here, we're going to go ahead and mix up the Phytotech Labs media. So I will bring that out and show you. 3 main ingredients we need. We're going to use coconut water. Natural, most organic, just pure coconut water is best. See what you can find. It's not always that easy to find it unless you go to like a specialty shop, maybe like the vitamin shop somewhere. I'm not sure, depending on where you're at in the world, what country. Different companies have different quality of coconut water. This was, I just got something out of my local supermarket here. Seemed to be pretty pretty much just, for the most part, coconut water without any added ingredients. So we'll give it a shot. We're not going to use much of this, by the way, only about 50 milliliters. The next thing we're going to use is the P723 Orchid Media. So we're going to go ahead and use this. And our last ingredient, we're going to use still water. So first thing we want to do is we're going to go ahead and get some supplies here. So it's important to note, you're going to have to take into account how much you want to do at once. This entire bottle here, which is pretty small, will actually make 1 liter of agar media. I am not going to be creating the whole mixture to make 1 liter worth. I'm going to do about 500 milliliters. And I'm only going to be filling these 16-ounce mason jars about probably a quarter, maybe a little higher of the way, probably about a quarter, maybe a little less, just to give it a nice base for the seeds to lay on and start growing. Now, the reason that we use this is orchid seeds, at least most of them, there might be some exceptions, but most of them do not have endosperm, which is like the carbohydrate and stuff like that that a seed typically utilizes in order to grow. So what we're doing is we're kind of taking the place of nature, where there might be some sort of carbohydrate and sugars in nature that the seed happens to land on and has enough nutrition to start growing from seed, along with some other things that happen in nature and fungi, how they have their relationship with propagating orchid seeds and passing on nutrients. We're going to kind of trick it a little bit, and we're going to use this. So this is going to be our replacement food, essentially, for the seed. So what we're going to do is take a look at my recipe here. First thing we are going to do is we are going to mix up 50 milliliters of pure, 20 milliliters, because we're only doing a half portion here. I'm going to go ahead and do about 20. It's a hair more, so I'm going to go ahead and just pour a little bit back. Okay. All right. That's that. Next thing we are going to do is and by the way, this, I'm keeping the coconut water as well as the P723 media and some of the other ones. They need to be kept between 2 and 8 centigrade. So I'm keeping it in a refrigerator that's 42 Fahrenheit, so that should be fine. And I did call the company. It has a shelf life roughly of, I think they said about 2 years. Apparently it seems like they grow in large batches, and from the large batch, that's when they will create little batches in either 1 liter mix size or up to 10 liter batches, depending on the company that requires it. So, all right. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to go with 400 milliliters of RO water. So let me go ahead and get a different flask out here. Okay. All right. So I guess this is the best one. So we're just going to go ahead and fill it up to 400. All right, it's 400 milliliters. We're going to go ahead and pour that in there with the coconut. And then finally, just leave this down here. And then finally, we're gonna have to weigh out approximately, gonna have to review that. Let me take a look. Want to double check those measurements. Okay, so I confused myself. I did have it right on here. We are going to go ahead and add, for the 4 flask jars, we require about 13.096 grams. So I'm going to go ahead and parse that out. So it'll help too if you have like some chemical spoons, things of that nature, just to kind of help precisely scoop out the amount that you need, and have a digital scale. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. I'm going to go ahead and measure out 13.96 grams. Probably should be doing this on a Petri dish or something. And again, getting it as close as possible. All right. Let's say that's pretty damn good. All right. 13.10. It's good enough. So we're going to go ahead. Going to add this in. Okay. And then what we're going to do is just going to simply try to stir it in. Some people recommend doing it cold. I'm going to try it both ways. I'm going to now bring this upstairs, and I'm going to boil this mixture and then pour it into the flasks, and we'll put it into the pressure cooker and get that all set up, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay? So far, so good. Okay, so now we're at the next step. So we've got our media mixed in there well. And again, we're trying to keep everything sterile. We're going to go ahead and fire this up. And we're just going to stir gently, getting all of this agar to mix nicely in the mixture. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring this to a quick boil, and then we're going to immediately pour, and then we're going to seal it in the pressure cooker. Okay, we got all our agar in there mixed. I'm going to go ahead and leave that sit, and we're going to let the heat do its magic. Okay, so here's for the last part. We have all of our media done. We're going to go ahead, pop the lids off these. Do your best not to touch the insides here. Again, we need to keep this as clean as possible. Okay. Now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to fill up each container here. We're going to go ahead so that everybody can see. I'm going to go ahead and fill it up to about 100. All right, that's the first one. Second one. Okay, and the final one. All right, looks good. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and gently put the lids on all of these. And by the way, we are not going to tighten these lids because This will be in the pressure cooker. What this is going to do is this will create a seal. We're going to go ahead and gently place these in here. And as this heats up, this will create pressure inside here. And then what will happen is we're going to let this cool overnight. And once it cools, these lids are going to go back down and seal shut. And it should be a completely sterile environment. Now, I will say, I looked up online just to see how many PSI and temperature requirements for sterilization. Typically, it would be the sweet spot about 250 degrees for 30 minutes. This here, pressure is probably going to be not 15 PSI. It's probably going to be something more like 10 or 12 in the electric pressure cooker. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe run it for, I don't know, about 30 minutes, 35 minutes. And that should hopefully be good enough to kill anything in there. So go ahead if you want to take one final look in there. Go ahead, seal it up, and that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and get this started. I will keep everybody updated and let everybody know the progress tomorrow, and we'll begin flasking our orchids. All right, thank you for watching, everybody. Stay tuned for part 2.